Beta tester, have you heard the news? I was kicking it on another holiday for the Jews. Chicken soup and the ball stay matzah, gefilte fish, you know that I gots to eat it. Girl, stay seated, call me Michael Jackson cause you know I'm about to beat it. Flat Jose male gaze on the way back, Sweeney big titties make an ugly have a heart attack. They told you, oh no, don't you come around here. Forced injection didn't work for the queer. Dress up like a lady, he a monster again. Gynophilia, an epidemic, nah mean. Go woke, go broke, you the baby to the bomb. Flat chest, nose ring, sound the alarm. UNWEF propaganda. Pedophile, I'm down to nothing, my belt Sanders ready. Woke up the Pokemon, got a nigga yelling, what? Like my name was Little John. Looking like we about to have a whole new Elite Four, jacking up the prices cause you know they always want more. Hello, beta testers. To help this channel grow and help me bring consistent content, liking this video, commenting, and subscribing in case YouTube tries separating us, makes the world of a difference. My name is Kyle and I'm a man, so every day I am gaslit, even though women are whom I am attracted to, entities whose entire identity is deception, endeavor to engineer what they class as a new normal. In layman's terms, a confused minority has tried and failed to convince heterosexual men that what they actually like are obese, bald-headed black women, androgynous dyed hair nose ring goblins, or, and this last one is my favorite, men who expect you to repeat after them and enable their delusion because you're their volunteer therapist. Depending on who you ask, trans identification is in free fall among the young. And in fact, based on leaked messages between certain young people, they're still joking amongst themselves using unapproved language, and even though it is recognized as a joke, their speech is problematic, and speech some people don't like is indistinguishable from hate speech. But if you ask me, policing speech is what got us here in the first place. I'm inclined to share with you an excerpt from an interview of Keira Knightley after taking the role of Dolores Umbridge in an upcoming Potter project where the interviewer thought she gave a damn about trans boycotters.
Professor Umbridge in the new Harry Potter audiobooks. I was wondering, are you aware that some fans are calling for a boycott, giving J.K. Rowling's ongoing campaign against trans people?
I was not aware of that, no. I'm very sorry. You know, I think we're all living in a period of time right now. We're all gonna have to figure out how to live together, aren't we?
Live together. They don't know you like I do. Couldn't even be honest with the framing of the question because, of course, honesty is not of you, entities. We're your allies. She laughed in the face of this irrelevant nonsense because more than 2 decades after the Harry Potter books' creation, theme parks and movies later, a game sells better than any other game that year. But agenda keeps it from being mentioned at a game award that is strictly for glazing sweet baby games. Still, we have publications like Game Rant digging their own grave and drenching themselves in liquid embarrassment with a post with over 1 million views but hardly 100 likes claiming, if Hogwarts 2 wants to avoid the boycotts the first one had, it can't take the same approach as the original. The likelihood is insufferable and arrogant whelps screeching, spoiling, and othering people with lists that they were making. In fact, I clearly remember transgender EIC of The Gamer serially othering a crying Jewish girl because she was, quote, white and cisgender, so who cares if trans bullied her? Gotta take the right side of history? You entities drove free press. More money for Rowling, and I watched people cancel charity streams because of how unbearable you entities were. People, myself included, bought extra copies for people as a middle finger, not to you or your fruity little cause, but because of your behavior. The community notes clarify that the niche and ineffective boycott with which they attempt to misdirect was irrelevant, with Hogwarts selling over 35 million copies, and all of that bullshit you're lodging up your ass isn't going to change the facts, reality. What y'all niggas seem to be in a real dispute over. You heard that I said copies sold and not players engaged, but don't let these facts get in the way of you throwing a tantrum, because you can't control how people think or feel, a sentiment all too familiar to anyone. Following your radical psycho behavior. How dare we not think as you do and choose what you want us to choose, a brain-damaged ideology that we see out of entities like sensitivity consultants and racist groups like Sweet Baby Inc. Danny Lalanders, who famously only hired black people, had her team on a game called Invalidate. Sorry, it was called Validate. Freudian slip. Was so salty that her couldn't force people to pick the ugly fat characters, that whomever controlled the account was allowed to cry over it in a public capacity. Because they didn't grant you the ability to choose, so you could do the one they didn't like. Look, man, Bud Light, Concord, Target, Jaguar, Kamala, Kirk, Hassan's dog, when examining the hilarious efforts to force Bella Ramsey's, Lizzo's, and Mulaney's in our face as the new norm, you need look no further than the reality of rejection. Scrote-licking orbiters and defenders still carrying the decaying and putrid philosophy of Sarkeesian are in for a wake-up call. On stream, I detailed how the first time I encountered radical ignorance, I was beside myself with laughter. Literal skirt-wearing ruler holders at Digital Foundry and freshly and unconvincingly other gender identifiers need to incessantly assert what a problematic product of a bygone era an attractive woman is. Being triggered by attention going to women in real life wasn't enough. It needed to extend into the video game realm as well. Those polygons, those ones and zeros, those pixels, they were too hot. The male gaze got you dying on a hill. In the hopes that the elevation, of course, would help you be seen and living a lie for they, them is just the beginning, demanding that we accept, embrace, and repeat your lie out loud to others was your goal, and your failure was always ever the only inevitable option. To them, quote, gender progress means whipping men into liking what a bitch thinks they should like instead of what they actually do. When given the keys, you sought to socially engineer in the hopes of tricking people into thinking your way, and of course, it didn't work. So as they write their articles using Sydney in a Baskin-Robbins ice cream commercial to illustrate how upset a skank named Madeline can be, Entity talks about how her just got married and must be so upset that other men aren't as soy-soaked and available for being whipped into shape because they have their own opinions, beliefs, and desires that they don't need to check with gay article writing nobodies. Isn't there someone you forgot to ask? That's what your bitch ass sound like, ho. Shut the fuck up. You irrelevant, flat-chested, envious creatures need to slink back under the fucking bridge and think up some better riddles, because you may have heard of a pimp hand, but I will acquaint you with a pimp tongue. I won't hesitate to bring portions out of you that you will hate more than the already frightening list of reasons that you hate yourself enough to, bring you close to that edge. The horror of Kyle as I exist not only in this incarnation, but in every wannabe thief and style copper wishing for showstopper aura. Useful idiots actively being discarded as you failed to contribute anything that won't be easily erased by Sweeney shaking her sweet titties for fucking 2 seconds. I don't know who needs to hear this, but women who don't personally find attractive exist in the real world. If you can't play a video game without every woman looking like a gooner fantasy, fart poop in my mouth, I'm fucking gay. Wow, progress. You hard of hearing skanks finally understand they're not attractive to us. And that's just a start, because the woman is never the problem. The activism is, you dumb hoe. Good gameplay, good story, strong character, doesn't matter what she looks like. I have one tattoo on my body that the police believe is gang-oriented. It is the Aperture Science logo from Portal. I don't need Chell to be sexy. I don't need GLaDOS to be sexy. To love their characters, the world, and the overall experience. You don't get it. And that sums you up. The phrase, you don't get it. But to issue more respect than you deserve, we are under the impression that you do get it and are only feigning ignorance to get people to acknowledge you because your attention-starved and clout-thirsty existence that you can never transition into a life is everything that makes you you. And without it, what might you be? I hope you find a man in time. Whatever the new trendy thing becomes, we know that's what you will align with because filling those holes is all you know. The ugly self-insert entities they jam into these games lack the very thing you're in no hurry to develop: personality. The agenda-soaked design and virtue-signaling stories indicate to pattern-recognizing men the activism in projects prioritizing lecture and message over fun. Rewriting languages Brian Intihar, creative director of Spider-Man 2 at Insomniac Games, because they, them, have decided on everyone's behalf that it's more progress than the apparently backwards, savage language of those that came before you. You cheer for assassination, you woke fucking cunts. And everyone now slices you off parasite because of your pathetic need to downgrade, race swap, gender swap, uglify, flatten, and inject everything with identity politics. We see you, and you're not much to look at. Our difference is some of us know we're not much to look at, but we're more than just this one thing. In the same way a game is more than just how it looks, and all of what should amount to quality from losers like you ends up falling short. You should be more than just your identity, but you're not. And the reason it's amusing is because girls who are simply their looks dominate making money, gaining more attention, and topping what anyone's looking for in the way of a chart. As we've been saying for years and Asmongold repeated recently, no one's cosplaying your ugly bitches, and I'll go further to say that they're not selling figures or merch that go for multiples of the price of your game because it's not something that's sought after. They never choose you as their profile pictures, their avatars, their VTuber models. You don't work. You don't understand the pit you've placed yourself in. People aren't just tired, they're done with you. And that apathy will be the motivating force behind your new transition into something people won't violently void because your very thought has long sickened people. They can live and let live, but you need to make a problem where there is none and convince people harmless things are harmful. You wanted to divide and make people tribal. You have divided, and they unite against you. Speak up so the AI can hear you and help it categorize and filter your ass further. Since you love labels so much, you'll use your own hypocrisy to bury you if it's even necessary because you've done such a great job on your own so far. Tomonobu Itagaki, the incredibly influential man behind Dead or Alive and Ninja Gaiden, dies at 58 and reminds us all of an era when gaming was less apologetic, sensitive, and gay. So of course, its legacy and impact reflect that. It still carries weight today, but not the obesity kind of weight forced in by triggered developers. A special thanks to Anil and Heavenly Jester for their kind wish list gifts that are making things a lot easier around here, and a special thanks to all of you for liking and commenting on the videos. If you get this the 3K likes, I'll definitely read some of Keira Knightley's, triggered entities that don't like maybe the laugh that came out of her. That's how they've been talking to people up until now. I don't see the problem. I'm watching Dungeons and Dragons virtue signal to death right now with not just unpopular cancer, but ironically, and I have to read this for you because I love it, xenophobic and vicious creatures, beholders were quick to attack enemies, including anyone they deemed not like themselves. Beholders are violent and greedy, hungering for both wealth and power over others. So of course this evil entity overlooks this excessively gay display with admiration and belonging. Sony pushing forward with its Horizon Zero Dawn movie. has to try to claim Stellar Blades and claim Crimson Desert. They rejected, by the way, because they cannot create, only remaster and remake. And you're learning exactly what I mean now that Yote, with the Antifa activist, has defined lukewarm. I said it would be just like the Spider-Man air quotes sequel. Strong sequel, hell no. A vehicle for their agenda, hell yes. Reviewers are calling Vampire Bloodlines 2 a sequel in name only. They should have just named it something else, but without the name, even less people would be interested, and these parasites are well aware of that. They couldn't get ya if they didn't say Arkham on the Sushi Squad. They couldn't get ya if they didn't call it, Dragon Age, Saints Row. But it's a sequel in name only, so the entities who hate even referencing male and female almost as much as they hate themselves will be flattening chests and making sure any straight white males hate what was previously an escape. Last of Us 2 for Naughty Dog was as brand damaging as Game of Thrones ending. So now Sony is desperately hoping to reanimate the corpse of interest in their properties with live action nonsense, which is why they were so quick to make their Concord IP have a show dedicated to it when maybe, just maybe, other properties could have been prioritized. They're hoping for that Edgerunners effect. In their dream scenario, they could get a bunch of attention from a bunch of live action pieces of crap and just remake the same old games and have everybody buy into that even if they don't play it, Steam style. Assassin's Creed, in case you haven't heard, is doing so well that its boss was just asked, in his words, to step aside. So maybe something warped may end up set straight. We'll believe it when we see it, huh? Xbox is standing in the wreckage of the house Sensitivity built, and come Halo's announcement situating itself inevitably on the PlayStation, we'll all have our front row seats to just how the studio behind Halo is screwing this one up. Another opportunity for the entities that Microsoft has appointed to grant everyone a middle finger. So, a remake with sprint and modern mechanics is apparently on the cards for Halo, and honestly, the less I say about it, the better. You've heard me go on about those people plenty of times. Many of today's vocal and online gamers weren't alive for Halo and couldn't possibly understand or communicate its significance. So hopefully some, mildly straight gamer with a video essay comes close to showcasing the global phenomenon that Xbox gladly fumbled for woke sake, hiring brain-damaged Latinx HIV specialists. Almost caught my, I'm catching myself here. I'm trying not to, you know what I mean? I hope I wasn't too colorful on Twitter recently, saying feminists hate men but praise only trans sex workers taking pictures in women's bathrooms to assert that they're in there and there's nothing that you can do about it. Your body, my choice has people upset, but a man in a wig can get women's rights revoked and they'll cheer. Is that stupidity? Is that ignorance? I'm not sure what it is, but it is regression by another name. So of course Keira Knightley is laughing at you, and I can't help but laugh when I see the same types of narcissistic job justifying dimwits appointed to croak, gaming is for everybody. No, it's not, but we were never going to communicate that to such persistent pronoun pushers. Please don't think I'm stooping to cat lady levels as if we've anything more to say to these ex-Concord managing sluts. The gay agenda is so important for them to push that perhaps you've heard about the WEF and the UN propaganda that is now neatly being woven into a Pokemon game to help them structure some things moving forward. It's almost as shitty as that kind of diversity chart that Overwatch was using to govern how it's going to establish characters in its game. This is why I bring up shit like DEI, forcing Pokemon Go's characters to look more androgynous, more masculine. And, you know, they were working with Saints Row's Volition, who is now out of business. This attaches itself to anything popular. Parasite, blah, blah, blah. You've heard it before. In my next video, I want to talk about something I'm excited about. And I appreciate all of your love and time. I can't believe I spoke for 20 minutes. And it feels like I really haven't scratched the surface of what I want to talk about, because it's so easy for me to just end up crazy ranting about the stupidity of hiring whomever these things class themselves as, when making a fucking game is as simple as explosions and guns, and but they trying to race swap. So I love you, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.